welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a combined haul of some nail polish that I've gotten over the last few months. I feel like this year I've mostly placed smaller orders of like 2 to 4 polishes, which doesn't feel like enough for each order to get its own video, so I'm combining them. In this video I'll be talking about the polishes that I've gotten recently from Holo Taco and Cadillacquer, and then in a few weeks I'll have another video out talking about polishes from Mooncat and Lurid Lacquer. Before I get into the polishes, I do just want to mention that I started an Instagram account if you want to follow me over there. It's claire.benevento, also linked below. And of course, I would also greatly appreciate if you would subscribe to me here on YouTube. Also, this is my second video in a new filming spot, but I know not a lot of people watched the first one that I filmed here, so I just want to mention it again. The room that I usually film in gets kind of hot during spring and summer, so I've moved in here for now. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I have 9 polishes to show you today. I'll be showing swatches of each of them and sharing my thoughts and if they met my expectations, so let's get into it. I'll start with Holo Taco. They're a boutique brand that's based in the US and founded by Christine from the Simply Nailogical YouTube channel. I'll be showing you 6 of their polishes, which were actually from 2 separate orders. One was placed on April 1st. If you don't know, Holo Taco released an April Fool's Day polish this year. It's pretty common for brands to announce fake products on April Fool's Day, like Holo Taco in the past has said, we're releasing a hummus-themed collection, or here's a taco-scented nail oil. But this year, they actually released a polish. It's called Born Ugly, and it's a cream that's kind of a muted army green color. Also limited edition and no longer available, just so you know. They advertised it as the ugliest polish ever, because the color is based on what Australian researchers determined would be the most unappealing color for cigarette packaging by doing various surveys and focus groups. I won't get into all of that, but you can watch the live stream where Christine talks about it if you want to know more. I bought this polish partly because I enjoyed the gimmick and partly because I actually like the color. I really enjoy greens in the olive, mossy, army green range. I have clothes that are this color, other polishes and different finishes that are in this color family. I like it a lot. Just feels very warm and earthy. And honestly, I feel like most of us can probably think of something that would be uglier. For example, a version of this with more brown or yellow, like Orly's Elysian Fields. I feel like I've seen more people say Born Ugly isn't actually ugly than people who actually dislike it, but maybe that's just because people who are buying it and posting about it are the ones who bought it because they enjoy it, and people who don't like it don't feel the need to like make a whole post about how they think that it's ugly. But yeah, I do like this polish. It's in Holo Taco's usual cream formula, meaning it's kind of thick but still workable and very full coverage. I would call it a 2-coater on my nail length, but some people might be able to make it work in 1. I have already worn it with a linear holo topper and I thought that was really pretty, and I'm looking forward to wearing it again. Also, like I mentioned, this was a limited edition polish, which is partly why I went ahead and placed my order the day it came out. I know some people aren't happy about there being a limited edition single polish release in the same month as the limited edition royalty collection, because that might make people feel like they have to place multiple orders to get everything that they want. And I know Holo Taco does usually try to avoid single polish releases, like they did it once for Christine's birthday, and people didn't like placing an order for one thing. So since then, they've released other polishes alongside her birthday polish. I can see why it made sense to just release one polish this time, but I also hope that they don't make a habit of it. And I hope they bring Born Ugly back sometime. It feels like it would be good for fall. The other reason that I went ahead and bought Born Ugly is that I was also able to pick up my birthday polish. If you're in the rewards program, you get a code for a free polish on your birthday. There are a few that you can pick from, it's not just any polish. And I could have waited to get it with the loyalty sale later in the month, but I liked one of the options that was available at the start of April, and I thought that they might change before the sale, so I went ahead and picked up Vitamin Glow. It's a pale blue Crelly polish with pink shimmer that shifts to yellow and maybe even a little green. It's from the Underglow collection, but it was originally a prototype for last year's royalty collection. It was actually prototype B12, which is why it has vitamin in the name now. See what they did there? And this is one of 2 polishes from that collection that I added to my wish list, the other being Phantom Call. But I was kind of hesitant to get it because a few reviewers had bad experiences with the formulas in that collection, so I'm glad that I was able to get it for free and try it out without spending money. And I thought the formula was okay. I do feel like swatching is kind of an extreme test for polishes in a way, because I don't always let each coat dry very long, which can mean that later coats can disrupt the first coats and make them look less even. And I think that kind of happened with this polish. You can see how it kind of pooled near my cuticle once I did the 3rd coat and isn't totally even across the nail. But I don't think it's just the application. It's really not a perfect formula to begin with. It's a little thick, which makes it go on kind of streaky even in the first coat. Luckily it does self-level fairly well though, so it mostly evens out. I'm pretty sure that it'll look alright under regular application conditions, but it's not Holo Taco's best work, not their smoothest formula. Also a little bit more sheer than I expected after 3 coats, but it looks okay in most lighting. Overall, I'm happy to have it in my collection. I do enjoy light blues, and I think the shimmer is pretty, so I'm looking forward to wearing it. Next, we'll get into the order that I placed during Holo Taco's yearly loyalty customer appreciation sale. This was actually a bigger order in terms of how much I spent, but it was mostly stocking up on essentials like base coats and nail oil. I got 4 actual polishes, which were 2 glitters and 2 toppers. So I'll start with the one polish that I got from the Disco Cowboy collection that launched at the same time that the sale started. If you want to know why I didn't buy the other polishes from that release, I did make a video about that and how I felt about the collection in general, so check that out if you want. But the polish that I did get is Bless Your Heart, which is a pink glitter polish, kind of somewhere between a hot pink and a berry pink. Like if you look at Christine's swatches on the website, it looks very bright, but the other swatches on the website I think are more accurate to the slightly deeper, more muted color that it has. The formula seems about the same as their original glitter formula, where there are various sizes and colors of holographic glitter. In this case, the smallest ones are pink and the bigger ones are the standard silver. And it has a very lightly tinted pink jelly base. I was pretty happy with the formula on this one. Glitters have a tendency to be thick and get thick over time, but this one, at least to start, is pretty easy to work with. You can see from how thin my first coat was that it's able to spread fairly evenly across the nail, and even though individual coats are very sheer, it builds up well with all those glitters working together to provide a good amount of coverage with 3 coats. You can still see through it a bit on my free edge in certain lighting conditions, but for the most part coverage looks good and it's very holographic and sparkly, which distracts from any sheerness. I might prefer a slightly brighter pink, but honestly the shade gives me a little bit more variety in my collection. And I'm glad to have another glitter. Holo Taco is about to release a full glitter collection, but most of the time we don't get a lot of them, so I was happy to see this one with the royalty release. And this polish is limited edition, but still available as of filming if you're interested in picking it up. And then the other glitter that I got was Midnight Spark, which has a blue base and blue, indigo, and silver holographic glitters in various sizes. This polish has been around a long time. It was part of Holo Taco's first holiday collection in 2019, and it wasn't necessarily on my radar, but then I realized that I was getting Bless Your Heart, which is a pink glitter, and I have Inside Job, which is a purple glitter, so getting Midnight Spark, which is blue, means that I'll have all the bi-flag colors in a glitter formula. I'm planning to do a lazy gradient with them during Pride Month, which should be fun. The formula was pretty good on this one. Not overly thick, but definitely a lot of glitters packed in there. I would recommend using a glitter smoothing top coat with this and with Bless Your Heart if you don't like feeling texture on your nails. And the base isn't as sheer as the base of Bless Your Heart, so it does build up pretty well in 2 coats, but I still did 3 for a little bit more opacity. Also, I did say something slightly controversial earlier. I called this polish blue, but this is one of the first polishes that made Holo Taco fans argue about color. I'm pretty sure Christine considers this polish to be indigo. The description on the website calls it indigo and says it has a purple-blue jelly base. But to me, indigo is between blue and purple, and this is way closer to the blue end of the spectrum. I can maybe see a purple undertone, but not enough to call it indigo. Midnight Spark is blue. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments. Moving on to toppers, first is Black Flake Taco. This one came out in the Cookies and Crumbs bundle last spring, meant to represent the cookie crumbles in that context. I'll be showing it over Ivory Tower, which is an ivory cream, and Bless Your Heart, which you saw before, since I like to show that you can put toppers on things other than creams, even though that's kind of the default. And this is a good topper. Not a whole lot to say about the formula. There's a variety of flake sizes from tiny flecks to bigger pieces, and they all spread out pretty well on the nail. I wasn't super interested in this topper when it first came out. That cookies and cream look is fun, but it's not something that I would want all the time. But then I got the polish The Diabolical Mojo Jojo from Mooncat, and it's a polish with a lot going on. Shimmer, iridescent flakes, hollow, and also black flakes. But when I wore it, I wished it had more of those black flakes since they were pretty sparse. So I got this topper to layer with that polish and other flaky polishes just to give them a little bit more depth. And it's also fun with the polishes I swatched it over. Gives a bit of an edge to Bless Your Heart, and of course that cookies and cream look with Ivory Tower. So I think I'll get some good use out of it. And the last Holo Taco polish I got is Scorched Earth, which is an iridescent shimmer topper that shifts from red to orange to yellow. It's similar to Solar Unicorn Skin, which is the flaky version, but that one starts a bit more orange and goes a bit more green in certain lighting, at least with the polishes that I've worn it with. I'm showing it over Low Key Blushing, which is a muted pink cream, and over Midnight Spark from earlier. I thought it looked pretty good over the pink, kind of warms it up a bit, though it's not picking up on camera as well as I could see it in person. But over Midnight Spark, it is stunning. Like, this is a new favorite combo. There is so much sparkle, and I love the contrast between the cool toned base color and the warmer shimmer. So much dimension, so magical. This is your sign to put a shimmer topper over a glitter, especially if you have these two polishes. So yeah, I do think I'm gonna get a lot of use out of this topper. I'm interested in putting it over purples, like the Linear Holo Purple Slushie, and I also think it'll work well with greens, like Not Pressed or Born Ugly or Headhunter. And it has a nice formula, so all around I'm happy with Scorched Earth and with my Holo Taco orders in general. I know I'm gonna enjoy these polishes. So next we've got the 3 shades from Cadillacquer. I placed this order at the end of March and it was a pre-order, so it shipped in early May. Cadillacquer is an indie brand based in Switzerland and available from a few different stockists depending on where you live. I get mine from What's Up Nails, but you can find all the options on their Instagram, I think. And I just want to mention that these polishes may or may not be available right now, depending on which stockist you shop from, but Cadillacquer does often restock recent collections when a new collection comes out, so you might be able to pick them up whenever that happens. Not sure when that will be though, since the brand owner mentioned having to skip their summer collection because of uncertainty with tariffs. But anyway, the first polish is called The Quiet Chaos, and it's from their winter collection. It's a thermal that's a deep, slightly warm green in the cold state and colorless/white in the warm state, plus it has iridescent flakes in various colors, including teal and pink. For the most part, I was kind of underwhelmed by that winter collection because it was all thermal polishes with iridescent flakes, and I prefer when there's more variety. But this polish did stand out to me. It reminded me of a polish pickup shade that I really liked. I forget which brand it was from, but it wasn't one of the 4 brands that I buy, so I skipped it, and I was happy to get the chance to buy something similar from Cadillacquer because I think that this is a really pretty color combo. And the formula is pretty good, maybe a little bit thick, as thermals tend to be, but the thermal pigment is very responsive. You can see that it's already changing while I was doing my swatch. I would recommend a glitter smoothing top coat with this one. When I wore it a couple weeks ago, I was like, it's just flakies. I'll be fine with regular top coat, but then I kind of wished I had used a glitter grabber because some of those flakies are pretty big and create some texture. Also, a couple of notes about thermals. One is that they are more sheer in the warm state than the cold state. So if you're painting in a cold environment and think it looks good in 2 coats, for example, you still might want to do a 3rd coat just in case. I did 3 with this one, and the warm state might still be a bit sheer, but overall I'm happy with the coverage. And the other thing is that eventually a bottle of thermal polish will lose its ability to transition. Some people describe it as the pigment getting tired. It'll happen sooner, like within a few months, if the polish is exposed to a lot of light or extreme temperatures, but it'll happen eventually regardless, and it could end up stuck in the warm state, the cold state, or somewhere in between. So it can be a good idea to consider if you enjoy both states of a thermal, so that you'll still be able to enjoy it once it stops transitioning, because it'll still work as a regular polish once it settles in one color, it just won't be quite as fun. I try not to add too many thermals to my collection just so I can get some use out of them while they still fully work, but I'm glad I got this one since it is very pretty. Next are a couple magnetic polishes from their recent Out of This World collection. I did make a video discussing that collection if you'd like to check it out. The first polish I got from it is called Celestial, and it has a navy base, gold glitter, and silver magnetic pigment. Looking back, I feel like I mostly got this one for the gold glitter. I do like the blue base, but just that with the silver magnetic wouldn't have tempted me. But either way, the formula on this one is alright. I'm showing it in both the velvet style with the big U-shaped magnet and also in the cat eye style with the standard nail magnet. It magnetized fairly well. All that silver gets pulled up to the top with the velvet style, so you see more of that when you look directly at the nail, and you see the pigments underneath when you get more of a side view. And then with the cat eye style, you get more of that stripe effect. I find that, for me at least, it's harder to get a sharp line on magnetics that have other stuff going on because the flakes or glitter can make it harder for the magnetic pigment to move through the polish, but I don't mind that too much. I will say that I'm not totally happy with how it's still a little sheer in the cat eye style, even in 3 coats. For the most part, I can deal with the polish not being totally opaque, but I just think it looks kind of weird when I have my nail line at one angle and the magnetic line at another. Not my favorite. Honestly, I would probably like this polish better without the magnetic. A navy blue jelly with gold glitter would still be fun, and I wouldn't mind it being a bit sheer. I do still like this one, it's still cool, but there are some things that I would change. I apparently didn't talk about this polish long enough, so please enjoy these pictures of my cat for the next 45 seconds. And then last is Extraterrestrial, a magnetic polish that I do really like. This is probably my favorite polish that I'm showing in this video. It has a multi-chrome base that shifts through shades of purple and red, and lime green magnetic pigment that also shifts to deeper shades of green. I thought this would be a good witchy or spooky season polish, and I still think that now that I've tried it. Even unmagnetized, it's a nice olivey green, and you can see some purple flecks, which is fun. But I love how it looks magnetized, especially in the velvet style. All that green gets pulled up to the top and leaves the multi-chrome base underneath, so you get the shifts from moving your nail around and seeing the magnetic pigment versus the base pigment, but also the color shifts from the multi-chrome element. I just think it's so stunning, and it's nice in the cat eye style as well. It can be a bit sheer like the last polish if you do thinner coats, but I did a very thick third coat, and that made it look more opaque in most lighting. And I was able to get a somewhat sharper line with this one, which I do appreciate. With my current nail length, getting a more dispersed magnetic line isn't a huge deal because there's enough space to have a thicker line and still see the base on either side. Like with the polish that I'm wearing now, you can see both colors happening, even though the magnetic line is a little bit dispersed. But I know that when I had shorter nails, a more spread out line would take up most of the nail, which wasn't ideal. So if you have short nails, this one might work well for you, and if you enjoy spooky season vibes, it's definitely one I recommend. Okay, so those are the polishes. Overall, I'm pretty happy with my haul. I do try to be fairly selective with the polishes I add to my collection, but I think one thing that can trip me up sometimes is thinking about polishes in the context of what they're released with. A polish like Celestial was one of my favorites from the Out of This World collection, which is why I got it. But if I had seen it alongside a different collection with more of the types of polish I'm really drawn to, then I might not have considered it as much. Whereas something like Extraterrestrial would have been a standout in almost any grouping. So going forward, I want to make sure I think about how much I like a polish on its own, and not how much I like it compared to the polishes it's released with. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you to everyone who's watching till the end. Let me know in the comments what you think of the polishes I got, if you've added anything fun to your collection lately, or anything else you want to tell me. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would leave me a like, or maybe even subscribe. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!